Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is January 18th, 2025, and Coutinho has surpassed some of the biggest Brazilian Barcelona legends in this specific statistic, which I'm going to tell you what it is. Also, a new report from Colombia or from journalists in Colombia stating that Barcelona are preparing a 70 million euro offer for Luis Diaz. And finally, another report coming out of Italy saying that Como are interested in both Ansu Fati and Eric Garcia. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and we begin this video by discussing Coutinho because our Brazilian captain has surpassed some of the biggest Brazilian Barcelona legends in this specific statistic. Now, Coutinho did not have the best of matches today against Getafe, but nonetheless, we cannot deny the fact that he's having a phenomenal season, probably the best season in his footballing career yet. And well, this is evident in multiple statistics that we have discussed in previous videos, and now there is a new one, which is the most goals scored by the month of January, where Coutinho has scored 20 goals so far in all competitions, ahead of some of the biggest Brazilian Barcelona legends, including Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Neymar. And of course, two out of those three are Ballon d'Or winners, which are of course Ronaldo and Rivaldo. Now, if you were to find a Brazilian that had surpassed Raphinha in this number, you have to go back all the way to 1960s, where Evaristo Dumacedo scored 21 goals in 21 matches, so surpassing Raphinha only by one goal. And again, we're talking about having to go back 60 years into the past. Now, Coutinho is currently the sixth top goal scorer, Brazilian goal scorer in the history of Barcelona, most recently surpassing Romario. Now, I usually don't like these kind of statistics where they have some random stop, like, oh, by January or by February or the first 6 weeks. But nonetheless, I think this is pretty evident that Raphinha is having an incredible season, and hopefully he'll continue building upon these numbers, because at this rate, he can even end up clocking 40, maybe even 50 goals, which will be pretty remarkable. And Coutinho has actually been doing so great this season that Deco, our sporting director, had the following to say about him in his most recent interview, where Deco said, "I have known Raphinha since his time in the youth ranks, and I was certain of the brilliant future he would have ahead of him. What you are seeing this season is Coutinho being Raphinha." Of course, Deco did not say Coutinho. Since he arrived at Barcelona, he has had stand-up performances and good numbers. However, all of this is part of a process of adaptation and maturation, and at this moment, he is one of the best in the world. Definitely one of the best in the world right now. For sure, 100% the best Brazilian in the world. Vinicius fans, come at me. But anyways, now let's move on to the next bit of news, since we were discussing Deco, because now we have to talk about Luis Diaz. And you might say, what does Deco have to do with Luis Diaz? Well, they're connected, because Deco has been trying to sign Luis Diaz since he became a sporting director. It's actually his dream signing for the left-wing position. But before we talk about Luis Diaz, I would like to remind all of you to please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. All of this helps this channel continue to grow. Also, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Goal Kits, Kit Bag, or Fanatics. If you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. Click on them and get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. Anyways, let's get back to the news, because we do have to talk about Luis Diaz, because as you know, Barcelona's #1 priority for this summer transfer market will be to reinforce the left-wing position. It's a position where we don't have any natural players to play in. We do have, of course, Ansu Fati, but you know what's going on with Ansu Fati. And as such, given that Luis Diaz has been the #1 priority for Deco since he became a sporting director, today journalists out of Colombia were reporting that Barcelona are preparing a 70 million euro offer for Luis Diaz to try to convince Liverpool to part ways with the Colombian attacker. Now, Barcelona have completely denied this report that they are preparing any kind of offer during this winter transfer market, and not to mention that there's no way Liverpool would let Luis Diaz leave during this winter transfer market. And as far as the summer, Luis Diaz's entourage have reported multiple times that they are prioritizing staying in Liverpool. Of course, they could end up leaving somewhere else, but they are prioritizing staying at Liverpool. So there's absolutely no truth to this report that Barcelona are preparing a 70 million euros offer for Luis Diaz. As much as Deco would love to sign him, unfortunately, right now we're not in a financial condition to pay 70 million euros for Luis Diaz. And again, there's no way Liverpool are going to let Luis Diaz leave midway through the season, especially given that, well, they have a chance at winning several competitions during this season. Anyways, on to the next report, since we are talking about players leaving. But today a report out of Italy was stating that Cesc Fabregas Como in the Serie A is interested in signing both Eric Garcia and Ansu Fati, two players who are on their way out. In fact, I discussed both players in the previous video. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check it out. But the report states that the Serie A club is interested in signing both players as reinforcements for the Serie A club. Now, today, immediately after this report began circulating, Cesc Fabregas himself completely denied the report that Como were interested in Ansu Fati. He literally said there's absolutely no truth to that report. However, he did not mention anything about Eric Garcia. He only dismissed the report that Como are interested in Ansu. So there could be some truth to the story that Como are interested in Eric Garcia. But of course, as we know, Girona are heavily interested in Eric Garcia. In fact, they have confirmed it themselves. Again, I discussed those statements in the previous video. So we'll see, but most likely Eric Garcia will end up in Girona. Again, assuming that Barcelona would demand or make a reasonable demand to Girona, who don't have, of course, the resources of bigger clubs and are limited by how much money they have to pay for players. Now, we will end today's video with the unfortunate news that today, after the match against Getafe, Alejandro Balde revealed to the press that he had suffered racial insults at the hands of Getafe fans, and it's absolutely disgusting and unfortunate that in 2025 we still have to be dealing with this. You would think that by now human beings or the human race would have developed enough to realize that your skin color has absolutely nothing to do with the kind of person that you are. But unfortunately, it seems like people have not learned this, and racism is pretty much very prevalent all across the world and including in football. And today, racism claims yet another victim, which is Alejandro Balde, who suffered racial insults in the stadium of Getafe. It will have to wait and see what La Liga will do, because when it comes to Vinicius Jr., when it comes to Real Madrid players, when they suffer racial insults, La Liga immediately mobilizes, as they should. But when it comes to players from other teams, La Liga is nowhere to be found. In fact, in the Clásico match, in Barcelona's victory 4-0 at the Bernabeu against Real Madrid, we saw that Raphinha, Ansu Fati, who was warming up, and even Lamine Yamal all suffered racial insults. It took weeks and weeks for that investigation to reveal anything, and all they did was identify two people, even though the images are clear. It was an entire section, not two people. And of course, those two people were banned only for 1 year, and then the rest of the fans, nothing. Meanwhile, when Vinicius Jr. suffered racism at the hands of Valencia fans, they shut down that entire section of fans. At the Bernabeu, nothing. And the actual fans that were identified were banned for life. But the two Madridistas only banned for 1 year. So we'll see if La Liga will act this time around. And if they do, we'll see what kind of punishment they'll come up with. Because again, in La Liga, it's very clear. If you're a Real Madrid player, La Liga will protect you against racism. But if you're not, you're pretty much on your own.